Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese and France, Mickey. What? Royale with cheese. Yeah, I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice up my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success?
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak. And I'm your host Dave.
And John.
And JD.
Hey JD, how are you doing this week?
Well, I'm quite well, thank you.
I heard you went on a little adventure this week.
I did. I got to guest on a phenomenal show called Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC. And now it's me and regular Scott derailed that show. And now I think it's time that he pay it forward and help derail our show.
Yeah,
I thought that was my job.
It's the show you described as like ours, but cool.
Yes, I stand by that statement.
So, welcome, regular Scott. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate the kind words. It's very, very nice of you. Very nice of you.
So Scott, how was it having JD on the show? How badly did he derail?
Well, let's put it this way. I personally enjoyed having him on the show. I thought it was great. Now, my co-host, on the other hand, he probably enjoyed the first half of the show. You could say that. He enjoyed the first half of the show. Because once we got to that second half, once we got into wrestling, and that's when he was gone after that. He was gone.
We went deep.
Oh, is that like when we had Aubrey on this show?
Oh, it was much, much worse. Or better, depending how you look at it. We went a good 2.5 hours talking movies, comics, wrestling. It was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a really good time, man. I appreciate you letting me borrow JD for the night. I know you guys keep a busy schedule, so I appreciate you let him get away for a little bit.
We've been hoping you were keeping him.
Oh man, shots fired.
Sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Shots fired.
All right. So, JD, of course, people can go check that out. I guess you guys are everywhere, right? Where podcasts are available?
Yeah, you can find us anywhere that you download your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podcoin, where they pay you to listen to podcasts. Just look for Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, and you'll be able to find us, subscribe, give us 5 stars. And if you enjoy a little wrestling talk, last week's episode was the one for you.
Oh, yeah. So JD, not to derail this, but did you do anything else interesting this week? Any more wrestling championships under your belt this week?
No. This was a rather boring week. Just a lot of work.
Any more 10,000 plus pages written?
First novel is rewritten, September 10th launch date. Second novel launches September 17th. So we're moving along.
Cool.
That's what's up.
How about you, John? Get anything written this week?
I got another chapter written, yes, and I talked to my editor, and I've got to get the NDA from her and getting that process going. And I didn't realize that editors can cost as much as they do, but oh well,
yeah,
got to do it.
Wait,
yeah, they're expensive.
Her? Is it someone that I know?
Yeah, actually, it is somebody that you know.
Okay. I think I know who it is. Cool. All right. Oh, so my news. I don't believe we talked about this last week, right? Did I mention that I got a job?
No, it happened between shows.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
So yes, I got a job. I'm currently not unemployed, but I'm not working yet because there's background checks that they have to run and everything. But
oh, well, that's going to fail.
Your time with Pablo Escobar is going to bite you in the butt.
well,
wait until they find this show.
Well, John, you'll appreciate this. Part of the background check is checking previous employers. Well, they contacted me and said they couldn't contact Point Roll and get any information from them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they don't exist anymore. So, that was interesting. I had to send them like W-2s and pay stubs to prove that I did work there, but yeah, they don't exist
Not
anymore.
that anybody wants to admit that these days.
No. They're long gone. So yeah. That was my week, and it'll be interesting. It'll be a whole new chapter in my life because it's a remote job, meaning I'm going to work from home, and we'll see how that works.
It's awesome.
Yeah?
It's awesome. We both work from home. I screw going to work ever again. Offices are for suckers, man.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much, JD.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Well, the funny part about it is since it doesn't matter where I live now, my wife and I have started talking about moving because, let's see, I've been married for 19 years. So for about 19 years, my wife has been talking about wanting to move back to South Jersey near her mother and brothers. And so we're trying to figure out, somewhere in between. But yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
Cool. Congratulations, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no commute other than walking over to my desk in the morning. That'll be interesting. So Scott, now that we have you here, and you had JD on his show, why don't you tell the folks at home a little bit about Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC? Like, where'd it come from? What do you guys talk about every week?
Okay, so I can I'll break a little kayfabe here. So Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC, it kind of started with me and my co-host, Uncle Oz. I call him Uncle Oz because he's my actual uncle. Uh-huh. And he's the one who got me into comics. He bought me my first comics. And for years we would call each other like every other week and just talk about comic book news, comic book movies. And we would just talk for like an hour. And, one time I was just like, man, why don't we let other people hear this? I'm sure there's somebody who agrees, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who will disagree. But it's another talking point, another perspective. And one of my coworkers came up to me and said he wanted to start a podcast. And
this sounds really familiar.
So my uncle and I, we jumped on, and we got the ball rolling. Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC was created. The person who came up with the idea of starting it, he's no longer with the podcast. So now it's just me and my uncle. And it's, really here lately, we've kind of really been able to go more into comics and stuff that we weren't able to do with our other co-host, just because he wasn't really into comics. He just kind of liked the movies and some of the shows, but he wasn't really, a comic guy, kind of like we are, and which was fine. But he didn't have the fire, I guess, that we did. And we love talking about it, so we figured, why not get other people involved in the conversation? And that's kind of how we started.
Yes, it all sounds very familiar.
I feel like that's the soundtrack to most podcasts.
I think so. It's always
got to be.
Yeah.
For us, it was basically the same thing. Talking at work every day about comic books and stuff, and then suddenly Dave started throwing a microphone in our face. So
I didn't throw it at you. I gently placed it in front of you.
Yeah, after you'd knocked us out and dragged us into one of the corner offices.
That was actually
doing a podcast. That's all I remember.
Using the offices, I'm pretty sure was Ben's idea. But that was a long time ago.
You could tell that, though, like little things like that, where it's somebody that you're comfortable with, and you can be brutally honest with, even if they don't agree, because you'll both get over it. And it just adds to the conversation when there's, when the person and you can just be honest and really give your opinion about things. It makes for good conversation.
Yes. Oh, I definitely agree. Cool.
Or if you barely know them and just have no filter.
That's true too.
That does help.
That's true too.
Is that you, JD?
I think so. I was a late addition.
Yes. Yes, you were.
Or as my mom called me, the giant accident. Wow. I wish that was a joke.
Oh.
Well, this isn't about me.
You were saying something about no filter.
Yes. Yeah. I believe that's where we were. Cool. And so people can find you wherever podcasts are found, obviously. And they can follow you on social media?
Yes, we have a Instagram and Twitter, which is NE4 Marvel vs. DC. That's the number 4. And, we post pictures, polls, all kinds of things. You can also email us at NE4 Marvel vs. DC at godefylife.com. And we'll read your emails on air. We have one frequent emailer who likes to rile us up. So we have a lot of fun with that. So, anytime, any comments, emails, you can hit us up and we'll definitely read it on air. We do giveaways, all kinds of stuff.
Cool. Yes. Love interacting with our audience. Right there, JD and John?
Sometimes it works okay.
Oh God, are you kidding me?
That's how I met Scott.
I was about to say.
That is true.
It was you guys, one of the people we call out in our social media madness, a lot. And that's, I think, where JD got his initial interest in talking to you guys. So
it was 100%. The Carol Danvers Super Saiyan picture GIF, I believe.
Was that what it was?
I think it was. I think that was one of the first ones. I remember we definitely commented on that one.
It's the literally only positive thing that's ever come. Yeah, madness. The rest of it's just a headache.
I appreciate that.
All right.
You guys do have some interesting interactions.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was going to say, now, segue. Speaking of headaches.
So let's get into a little social media madness. So we had talked about Taskmaster being the villain in the Black Widow movie. And
I can't wait till he copies her hotness moves.
What?
What?
I got nothing.
Oh wow.
That's what Taskmaster does, right? He copies moves.
Good night, everybody.
So Stone Rhino Nano had said he's a great choice. It does make me wonder if Finesse will appear in the modern day then. So, what do you guys think about that? Do you know who Finesse is from the comics?
I thought he was a rapper, but okay.
I'll be honest.
It's a character.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a character associated with Taskmaster. I don't know. Yeah, okay. I mean, probably not, because it's not, like, there you go. I think that proves it right there. You guys don't know who he is. He's not a popular enough character, I think.
Well, I guess in the comics that I've read with Taskmaster, he lacked finesse, so.
Oh my God.
You're like fully recovered whenever it was dragging you down yesterday. You're like,
or that's what this did to me.
I love it. So I think it's great.
I think he's trying to. I think he's trying to show off for you, Scott. I mean, that's the way he gets when we have guests.
Oh man,
he's got to turn on the O'Grady charm.
I hear you. I hear you.
All right. We got a few more responses on this one. There's a lot of one of the things I think we're all looking forward to, and of course Kevin Feige confirmed they are working on a Fantastic Four movie. Geek to Me Radio said, I think that Kevin Feige has done a tremendous job so far giving us comic accuracy, and I'm therefore optimistic about the outcome of Marvel Studios' controlled Fantastic Four movie. Comic Book Nostalgia said, just get the team right and Doom right. That's the primary thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Doom's the big one. Marvel Universe Online had said, I'm certain they'll do fine. And Sam, oh, wait a minute. Dana, oh man. I am terrible with names. People should know this by now.
And yet we make that every week.
Yes. Donna Rumo Jr. I think I don't think that's a real name. I think that's like a joke for some reason. I didn't see anything wrong with the first Fantastic Four movies. I thought they were great.
What?
It was good entertainment. Jessica Alba, Invisible Woman, come on.
Punctuation is your friend.
So you disagree with that, Sean?
Fam four stick, okay?
Fam four stick.
Yeah, but that is the second set of movies. It's actually technically a third, right? Don't forget the Roger Corman movie.
Actually, once you watch the Everything Wrong With for the first two Fantastic Four movies, you can't really get it out of your head. They just some of the stuff that I mean, Jessica Alba was there to take off her clothes. That was basically it.
They're cringy.
How about you, Scott? Are you looking forward to Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four?
I am. I think it's the first family deserves a good MCU readaptation, but we don't need an origin story. I think they should already kind of be established, and I think the Fantastic Four is a series that you make as comic booky as possible. Make that one as much fun, in a Guardians-esque type of comedy action type movie. And I think you got it. One thing that JD said on our show, we were talking about it, and my co-host, I like the idea of them being adventurers instead of superheroes.
Yeah.
I think that's just a different way to take them, different direction. That'd be a good way to introduce them, and like I said, make them as comic booky as possible.
Right. And I do think that was what the initial intent was, to be adventurers and not necessarily superheroes. So,
I agree.
Yeah. And as John said, what was it? Fan four stick?
Yeah.
I think the problem in that was, like, the thing with Fantastic Four is it has to feel like they're a family, and it seemed like they didn't care about each other at all in that movie. So.
Well, we also want to see them use their powers, and what they spent 90% of that movie just being dark.
Just looking at, they spent 90% of that movie looking at computer screens.
Yeah, they couldn't even buy a freaking light bulb. Most of the scenes in that were just like, do I have the brightness up on my screen? I can't see anything. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Marvel version too, because well, it's Marvel. Everything they touch these days turns to gold. I mean, they could take anything, like Squirrel Girl, for instance, and they could make a good movie about it.
You're not giving up until they make one.
I am not, no.
All right, so moving on, we had talked about, of course, the surprise and wonderful return of J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, and Manuel A. Carmona said he loved it. House of D, this one I liked, this response, okay? He said, I'm so glad they had the balls to do this. I'm hoping that means that they will consider recasting Patrick Stewart as Professor X, Kelsey Grammer as Beast. I'm also thinking Jackman could be back. So, what do you guys think of that? Like, do we want all of them to come back and reprise the roles?
3 out of 4, or 2 out of 3, yeah.
Who's the third that you don't want coming back?
I don't know if I need Kelsey Grammer back.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, if they did some kind of crossover, like, I mean, with, DC, they're doing Crisis, on Infinite Earths in the TV series. So, if they did something like that in Marvel, you know, they could bring back characters from all different franchises from, you know, before they owned all of the IP back.
You know, Regular Scott had an interesting take on this on Take a Knee this past weekend with how they could incorporate the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, this is true. I think it'd be an easy gateway to mutants, and with what he just said on Twitter, that even makes me think that, you know, that you could even have some of those guys just cameo in the movie, just as their counterparts in a different part of the multiverse.
Yeah.
Because it's the madness of the multiverse, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of mayhem going on anyway.
Cool.
Madness in the multiverse. I thought that was just another name for Fox owning the rights to some of the characters.
Code name.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think that's how we're going to get that's my personal pick of how we get mutants, and how I think you'll see Scarlet Witch kind of being more so called a mutant probably in that movie, I think. Or that's my kind of my theory going with it.
It works.
Yeah. That's not a bad thought. We shall see. Huh. I like that. Marvel, get on that. Oh. Make it so. Oh, wait. Wrong franchise.
But just break me off a little bit of that though. Just hit me off with just a little silent payment. I won't say a word.
You'll take a quarter of a quarter penny off of each dollar that they make, and you'd still walk away a couple of million.
That's it. I'm not asking a lot.
Not a lot. No.
Nah, it's, you know, it's a little fraction.
Was it 3 billion now for Endgame?
Well, you know, as long as they keep Avatar behind them, that's fine.
You think that James Cameron's going to re-release Avatar when the sequels come out?
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Just to try to get that throne back.
Not a question.
Yeah, do it for charity as well.
A charity? What charity are you going to support with Avatar?
Let me think. Since it is a ripoff of Pocahontas, Native American.
Oh, Ferngully! It's a ripoff of Ferngully too. We'll do the rainforest.
There you go, rainforest protection. Boom, done.
Call me, Cameron. I got ideas.
Reason to.
All right. And the last little thing, and I'm not going to read all the responses, but talked about the special effects for Mysterio and how they felt like they got them really right. I said Mysterio is the best part of the movie, but I feel like we wasted Jake on a bit part. He easily could have slid into and been the new Tony Stark. And the GEB project, GEB said, I don't agree that Mysterio actually died. You can never trust your eyes when dealing with Mysterio. In fact, I suspect that Mysterio who died was actually a drone, and that the real Mysterio still lay at Parker's feet. The holograms saved him.
Quite possible.
Then, of course, they went back and forth a little bit on that. So your reaction to the sliding into the iron boots comment, there, JD boy.
So you're supposed to think that. That's literally the point of the Mysterio character, is Peter feels that he could be the next Tony Stark. Mm-hmm. So, you know, good job with the filmmakers. They convinced that guy. That being said, that's a terrible idea. Just you lose Robert Downey Jr. and go, here, Jake Gyllenhaal, you're just as good.
Yeah, no.
That's as new Coke as I've ever heard it.
Coke. That's pretty good.
Or like when they made Val Kilmer into the new Batman. We were supposed to just forget that Michael Keaton was there. Like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Revoke that man's Twitter.
Okay. I'll get right on that. I'll talk to the Twitter police as soon as we're done here.
Thank you.
All right. Well, speaking of social media, don't forget everyone to follow us and Take a Knee on Twitter, Facebook. You can interact with us there. And don't forget to check out some other great podcasts, part of the Geek World All Stars Podcast Network, and that, of course, is So Wizard Podcast, Gorilla Brain Podcast, Pop Prism Power Podcast, Cult 45, and Fans on Patrol. So check out all those great podcasts on the Geek World All Stars Podcast Network. That is so hard to say all the time. And on that note, boys and girls, we're going to take a quick commercial break and be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Now that that nonsense is out of the way, guys, let's get on to the news. And let's, of course, start with Marvel, like we always do. The Endgame writers say that the X-Men need a break. So...
and that puts them already way ahead of anything Fox tried to do with them.
So if you go in to read the article, basically they're kind of saying with the Dark Phoenix underperforming and
it performed just exactly what we thought it would do.
and of course Feige hasn't even, has said that they don't have any real plans for the X-Men right now. That the idea is take a break, don't worry about them right now, and introduce them later on. Given your idea, Scott, and how to bring the mutants into the universe, what do you think about that? Do you think Fox left a bad taste in everyone's mouth and we should hold off? Or do you think we should introduce them as quickly as possible?
Well, I do think Fox left a bad taste in people's mouth. So I think as far as the X-Men team-up film, I think that should be put on rest for a little bit. Put on the back burner. Let's not even think about that. Now, the X-Men as individual characters, I don't think they need to be having any solo movies coming out. But I think, Storm showing up in Black Panther 2, or maybe another random mutant showing up in one of these Disney Plus series. Like, they don't have to have a full role, but just a couple episodes here or there, just to kind of reintroduce the MCU versions of these X-Men. And then you build to the X-Men movie down the line. These don't need to be origin stories again. You can just establish them as they are and introduce them already being a part of the X-Men without ever showing the X-Men and build to that movie. Phase 5, that's when you build and have your X-Men movie. Characters already introduced during Phase 4.
I like that. I do wonder that too. Now that Marvel has the characters again, they have the X-Men, they have Storm, and we already have Black Panther. We've introduced that relationship. What happens to his current relationship in the MCU? And how are people going to take that,
Does it exist? We didn't see her in the Avengers films.
This is true.
And she's a spy. If she's a spy, she could be doing whatever. Then you get a nice little triangle thing of like, where, I didn't think you'd ever come back. And yeah, there's like rife drama and that stuff.
Disney probably love a love triangle.
It would be all about
yeah.
They would love a love triangle.
Yeah.
So, am I the only person that feels like this is actually just a little bit of misdirection from Feige?
In what sense?
With like that, don't worry about the X-Men. They need a break. We don't need anything about the X-Men. X-Men!
Be.
I don't know, we didn't see Spider-Man coming until we had a trailer and holy crap, there's Spider-Man.
Yeah, that is true.
That's true. It's very true.
I don't know. I feel like what better way to temper things than to be kind of operating when nobody's really paying attention,
Right. So no X-Men. Here's the Black Widow trailer. Oh, look, by the way, there's the new Wolverine.
Yeah, something like that. I could totally see them doing that, and I could totally see me being really excited about it.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Just introduce them one at a time. Sprinkle them in here and there.
Yeah. Perhaps in a Doctor Strange movie.
Yes, perhaps in a Doctor Strange movie.
You could be introduced to 5 or 6 different mutants in that movie.
Really, you could.
Plenty of time to really get a feel for them too.
It's what they did with the Avengers movies. We got introduced to Black Widow and Hawkeye that way.
Yes.
And Hulk, really. We didn't really, I guess
Mark
Edward
Ruffalo.
Norton one. Yeah, the Mark Ruffalo. I guess the Edward Norton movie's kind of in continuity, but not, they don't really claim it. So, I don't know. Could work.
No, it's considered part of Phase 1. It's in my Phase 1 box set, yeah.
Okay. They just don't talk a lot about it.
No.
Well, same thing with Rhodey, so.
We still have it. That's true. That is true.
Shout out Terrence Howard, man. Shout out Terrence Howard. I like him as Rhodey.
A very good actor.
Yep. Yeah, he is. He is just very talented.
He just wanted his payday.
Which there's one thing Marvel doesn't like to do, it's write checks.
No. Which is why I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is ever coming back. Speaking of Robert Downey Jr. never coming back.
Segue.
So the released in marketing for the Endgame, coming out on Blu-ray and digital and all that fun stuff. In fact, I think it's on digital this week. They released a deleted scene, which made me wonder, why did they take this out? It's, of course, all the heroes giving tribute to Tony. Obviously, they're fans of your podcast, Scott, because they all decided to take a knee for Tony to show respect. So, I mean, it's not a long scene. Why do you guys think they cut that out?
I have no idea. I think this scene was great. And it lets us see that Gamora actually disappeared, because I thought she died before they started talking about her. Like, this worked. I thought this scene worked really well. I don't know why they cut it.
I have a dumb theory. Do you think because they were taking a knee, they thought it was too... It would be perceived as too political?
Everybody, that's what anybody given this political climate would think. And that should never be the driver for any of this.
I sincerely hope that was not... That conversation did not happen.
Yeah. But it probably did.
It's a fair question. It's absolutely a fair question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately.
Because anyone who's known anyone who has been in the military or anything like that, you realize that it's just a sign of respect to a fallen hero. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. I can't think of any, because it's not like it's super long and they had to cut it for time, because it's not like it's under a minute long, and the movie's already 3 hours, so who cares for another, 30 seconds? So.
Right, I'm already holding my pee.
Yeah. Exactly, so.
I'm not getting up. We're good.
Alright, well, we'll have to see. I don't know. I can't wait to finally get the movie and watch all the deleted scenes.
That should be cool. I'm looking forward to that as well.
Me too.
All right. So Daniel Bruhl, who plays Zemo in Civil War, is going to be reprising the role in the Falcon Winter Soldier TV series. And it was apparently revealed at Comic-Con, but of course, Marvel doesn't put any of that footage online, the bastards. But on his Instagram, he confirmed it, that Zemo will have his comic book look and be wearing the purple mask in the series. So
I was gonna say, when I saw, now again, I'm a DC guy, but I always thought Zemo was a much bigger and more intelligent villain than what they portrayed him in Winter Soldier. I mean, it just seemed that he wanted to get them to fight because I don't know what he couldn't spring for paper.
He pulled off a very complicated scheme, though.
Oh, that was a scheme built on lies. That scheme was if any one thing went wrong. It's one of those things where it is basically the only reason it worked was because the writer Rube Goldberg machines.
You just described every heist movie ever made.
Yep.
That's a David Mamet movie that you just broke down. I don't know, he's got a shotgun set. That's all I ask.
Touché.
Be that as it may, I always thought that Zemo was supposed to be this way bigger villain, and I always thought for some reason that he was with Hydra somehow.
Yes.
But
he was. So the Hydra of the movies is different than the Hydra of the comics.
Yeah.
I just think there's so much going on in Civil War. Like, and we've talked about this before, how oftentimes the villains of the Marvel movies get really underplayed because they're doing so much with their heroes, especially in Civil War. Because remember, that's where we introduced Black Panther, we introduced Spider-Man, we have that whole Cap and Tony dynamic. Like, yeah, I forgot most of Zemo's role in that movie until this news came out, to be honest with you. So this gives him a chance to actually kind of bring some new life to the character. I'm excited.
Right. No, definitely. And that's, yeah, I agree. Like, John, here's their opportunity for them to show him in a much better light and a much extended story. So I think you'll get some cool stories out of this. The other thing, though, the whole point is, like, I remember a time when, other than maybe Spider-Man and Superman, you can't put heroes in their comic book costumes because people don't want that. It looks silly. What do you want? Yellow spandex? As that line from the X-Men movies?
Yeah.
And it's funny. I think that was one of the weird complaints from some fans with Civil War. It's like, well, why is he just a guy? Like, why doesn't he have his mask? So, I think, to me, this is another great thing about Marvel. It's like, they're good enough to turn around and say, hey, no, we're not afraid to put them in their comic book accurate costumes.
And I think this is a good villain for Falcon and Winter Soldier, as far as having a more grounded villain. Because I don't think you're going to see a lot of super-powered people.
No.
This is going to be more of, kind of an espionage. I kind of liked what you all compared it to on y'all show, kind of a Lethal Weapon type show between, Bucky and Sam. And I like that. I think that would be a really cool way to go with it.
Oh, yeah.
Zemo as Mr. Joshua.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That was Gary Busey.
Yes. All right. Cool. And then the last little bit of Marvel news we have, Scarlett Johansson recently was out talking about the Black Widow movie, and she said that she compared it to Logan, a mixture of Logan and Terminator 2.
And The Fugitive.
And The Fugitive, yes. I definitely get the Logan part, like that works. I think that's a good comparison. Without knowing what the plot is, okay, The Fugitive makes sense. Maybe she's on the run from Russia, and it's where she decided to convert to S.H.I.E.L.D. Terminator 2. What's a big plot point in the Terminator movies, guys?
I think she just wants to play a cyborg. Scarlett Johansson can play anything.
She's going to play a tree, remember?
Touche.
I was just getting at the time travel aspect.
That could be.
Do you think there'll be some time travel in this?
I didn't think about that till you just said it. That's a very good point. That would be a really different take, because I didn't even think about that. I like that.
Well, they could put her in back into the Marvel universe this way. It's either that, or it's either a Skrull died, or somebody time travels and oopsies her back into the timeline.
If a Skrull actually died, I think that's very cheap. I hope they don't do that.
No, you know what?
I just personally like if it turns out a Skrull died, it really cheapens the impact of her death.
True.
It wasn't really Natasha that died. It was this Skrull who was pretending to be Natasha.
But if it was pretending to be her, I mean, first off, you're bringing in Secret Wars, or was it the Skrull? Is that what the Skrull
Secret
brings?
Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Yeah, so you're bringing in Secret Invasion, and you're introducing the main plot point of that, which is the Skrulls began to think that they were the actual heroes.
They did not. They knew who they were. Like they in the Secret Invasion, they know they're Skrulls, and they're operating with the Skrull in like the Skrull takeover mindset. Her sacrificing herself to save the Avengers and the future really isn't, sleeper cell Skrull behavior. Now, if you flip it on its head and have her actually have this new Black Widow, like say if you were to lie, like, oh yeah, it was Skrull really died, but this one's actually the Skrull, I'd get a little bit more on board with that, but we're getting really convoluted now that I talk about it out loud and I get tongue-tied.
Yeah, I was just getting at the aspect that, and I talked about this when we talked about Endgame, is they've now introduced time travel into the MCU, and maybe using it again in Black Widow is way too early, but I don't think you can introduce it and then just act like it never exists again.
Especially when you talk about Terminator 2.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I wonder what made her. I wonder what made her pick those 3 movies, though. Like, I'm very curious now when the movie comes out. I know I'm not going to think about it, but I'd like to think about. I wonder what those 3 movies have to do with this.
I often say, what the hell is Scarlett Johansson thinking?
Seriously, what is she? I wonder what she's thinking with these 3 specific movies. These are very specific movies, and all pretty different.
I just often go, I wonder if she's ever thinking about me. Oh wait,
no,
inside voice, Dave.
Oh, no, but you're right. I mean, they are. Well, there's a grittiness to both. I think, The Fugitive and Logan. You know, and that's one of the things she talked about in the interview is kind of like there is a grittiness to this movie.
Fugitive is a great movie, and I can kind of see that. Like, I think I kind of get where it sounds like she'll probably run away from the Red Room. So you got that fugitive aspect where David Harbour's character is going to be probably, I'm speculating, you're like Tommy Lee Jones and hunting her down. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of get that.
So where does the Logan aspect comes in? Who's the Logan that's going to die for her? Since she's apparently, I guess she's the X-23 in the Logan story, is what I'm taking away from it.
Or the Terminator. I don't remember Fugitive there being a killer robot. Although
the Fugitive thing makes sense.
Yeah, the Fugitive. I think Dave's right about like time travel. It's the only thing that really makes sense.
Yeah,
unless Robert.
Yeah, well.
That would be really interesting if all of that means that she actually knew what her fate was going to be.
Oh. Interesting.
Oh.
Just blew your mind, didn't I?
For once.
Is it a sacrifice if you know you're going to make it? Like, if you're fated to make that move, are you truly making a sacrifice, or are you just kind of accepting your fate?
Well, it still means that you have the choice. Now it means even more because it means you have a choice. You know you don't have to. You could do something to change it, and you don't.
But yes, because then are we just accepting? Now we're in the whole debate of free will versus determinism. You know, like are we truly the drivers of our own cars, or are we merely vessels with which time enacts through?
Well, when Feige's in charge, we don't have any control. So
no, we have none. He has all the control. He is God.
Yep.
Oh man, that is going to keep me up all night now. Thinking about that.
What, Feige being in control? Yeah, that would keep me up too.
No, the whole idea of fate. I mean, because it is one of those things that always bugs me in certain movies where, it's like, no, you don't have a choice. You're destined. You're stuck in a fate loop. There's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, well, then what's the point? You know?
Which is that is exactly all the Terminator sequels. Like Terminator 2 has this now we're on the subject, has a fantastic ending. And then the rest of the sequels like, well, you couldn't avoid Judgment Day anyway. And it's like, well, that nullifies the best movie in the series.
Yep.
Well, I think that's why there's free will. Because I mean, if you can't change what's coming, that's fate. But I think with the ability to change what's coming, that gives you free will over fate.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, she technically had free will anyway the first time around. I mean, but the fact that you know what could happen, that's exactly as Scott said. So this
is a way deeper talk on this Black Widow movie than I thought we were going to have.
You're right. Especially the way it started with those 3 movies and being compared to it. I didn't think it was going to get this deep. You're right.
We got heavy with this. This is why I like the show, guys.
It would put how surly she was in the Endgame. Yeah, in the game, in some of the scenes in Endgame, it would make that much more interesting. If she knew it was coming, and so that's why she was so just gnarly.
Why she gave up on her hair?
Yeah.
Hey, so random question for you guys. Do y'all think there will be a Hawkeye, I was about to say Black Hawk, but a Hawkeye, cameo in this movie?
I would assume so. I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
their history goes way back. So.
Right. And at least introducing that friendship and why they're so close with each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, maybe Hawkeye's the Logan.
Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're cooking.
Huh. I gotta be honest, this movie didn't do much for me before this talk, and now I'm actually really curious.
Ha. See, Feige, we sold you another ticket for you, so we want to cut.
Just a little bit, just a little fraction. That's all. We're not asking a lot, man.
It was $30,000 off what Endgame made. Like, come on, man.
See what I'm saying? We're not saying
a decimal point.
Right. You won't even notice it.
Right.
It's literally like 5 seconds of what he makes per day. It's just.
All right.
Is there a man that earns his paycheck better than Kevin Feige, though?
Not really. If he, I would have no problem with him whatsoever if he hadn't excommunicated the TV series.
Yeah.
So.
That was him, though. Like, that was like, well, I guess it was kind of him. That was that whole Perlmutter Feige split. If Ike doesn't gotta be Ike, that probably doesn't happen.
At this point, oh well, not much you can do.
No.
Other than look over at the aisle and all the great offerings DC. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
But The Rock apparently had been talking about the upcoming Black Adam movie, and it's still upcoming, guys. They're a little ways before they're going to film it. But he's describing Black Adam as an anti-hero with a moral compass.
That's 100% accurate.
And that he might possibly end up becoming a good guy by the end.
That's the character journey of Black Adam. Like, the Black Adam story isn't told a lot in the Shazam books. The best Black Adam stuff is Jeff Johns' original JSA run, where Black Adam joins the JSA. Like, he is he provides this great, like, because the JSA, I don't know, David, I don't know if you're familiar with JSA. John, did you read JSA when it was out?
Yeah, but, again, stopped in the 90s, so.
No, actually, this is the stuff from the early 2000s. Like, this is like when Jeff Johns was like at his best stuff in my opinion.
Is this pre New 52?
Yeah, way pre New 52. Yeah. This is pre Infinite Crisis.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Black Adam is the champion of Shazam, right? From ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But he's powered by the Egyptian gods, and what he did is he saved his. He's not Egyptian. He's from a country that's now called Kondak, which is just off Egypt. That's now impoverished, and he just has a different view of things, like a lot more. Or I don't want to use the term Middle Eastern view because that's not fair, nor is it accurate. But it's a little bit more of a Hammurabi eye for an eye view, and the narrative in those early JSA books is really him trying to understand the morality of this new world that he's in and struggling with it. But being a moral man. This is totally why Dwayne Johnson wants to play him. Because Black Adam is not a cackling villain. Black Adam is Shazam is super innocent, where Black Adam is the exact opposite. But they both think they're doing the right thing. And when, this Black Rain story that Jeff Johns does, when the country of Kondak is pretty much wiped out and Black Adam comes home to take control of it, he basically, see if this sounds familiar. He invades the country and conquers it to protect it, and becomes a dictator. Like, he did it for the reasons of trying to save the country, but winds up becoming just as bad as the people who were there before. So there's a lot of really there's interesting character stuff going on there. And if that's where The Rock wants to go with this, I am on board because those were great books.
Okay. I can see that. But then...
Did anybody else read that? Or am I alone in reading that era of JSA?
I think I need to go back and read it now. I mean, I know the general brushstrokes of that, and it should be interesting. And yeah, I agree. That's probably why Dwayne Johnson wants to play him. Plus the fact that if it's going to be one of the few people that don't need to fill out a foam suit.
True. True.
No,
and I think Dwayne, I think The Rock has like the chops to actually do the character justice on screen.
Scott, did you read those stories?
I read a couple more so from the Shazam side than Black Adam by himself. So I didn't read that particular story, what you're speaking of right there. If not, I'd probably be a bigger Black Adam fan than I am now.
Like I said, I think that a lot of these, unfortunately, the stuff that came out, and this was in the countdown to Infinite Crisis when DC, like a lot of that stuff, there were some good books that came out around that era that have been kind of lost to all the continuity juggling that DC's done this past, 15 years.
So I wonder, I guess my question is anyone surprised that The Rock is not going to be playing a villain? Because I'm not. I wasn't expecting him to be a villain if more than 30 minutes of his own movie.
Yeah.
That's just not what he does. He doesn't play villains. Even in Fast and Furious, he's only a villain because of whose side we're rooting for. He's not a villain. He's the police. He's not a bad guy. He's only a villain because we're rooting for Dom and his team. So this doesn't surprise me. As much as I would like for it to be because of what JD said, because of the great storytelling that it could be. I don't think that's why he chose this role. He was like, no, this will be cool. It'll put me in a universe. I know he becomes good. I don't know why, but we don't have to talk about that. I'll be bad for about 30 minutes and then I'll be good guy and I'll save the day. That's The Rock.
Yeah. And it's funny now that you've said it, I'm trying to think of anything where he could be considered a villain.
Maybe Scorpion King and Doom.
Maybe Scorpion.
Original.
Yeah. Maybe.
The original. Not the actual Scorpion King.
No. Yeah.
Wasn't he the bad guy in Doom? Didn't he end up being the villain?
Oh, yeah, he does turn out to be the bad guy in Doom. That's the twist.
But I think that's it, man. Like the rest of it, he's the good guy. And like, how often does he lose a fight?
Well, he is The Rock.
Touche. These trailers for Hobbs and Shaw of him like pulling a helicopter down by the chain. I don't know if I'm like more intrigued by it or if I'm like, there's no way this can happen. I need to see what's about to happen. Like
this looks like the most ridiculous when we're so used to superheroes, snapping reality out of existence. For some reason, this movie looks incredibly ridiculous.
It does, man. Like it really does. I don't know what it is, but just something that is like, I almost feel like I have to see it because this dude is pulling a helicopter by a chain and I know he's not. So what's going on here?
Right. Especially when the plot line is they've turned Idris Elba into, I believe the line is Black Superman. I'm not sure how or why, but Idris Elba is supposed to have superpowers, yet The Rock is pulling a helicopter from the sky.
Yes. It makes
I don't
perfect
know
sense.
I don't know what this movie is even about, and I've seen like 6 trailers for it. But I'm going to have to go see it.
And you've probably seen like almost 50 to 60% of the entire movie itself.
Yes, but not the plot elements of it.
No.
Well, no, you don't need the plot. All you need is The Rock pulling a helicopter back to the earth.
Well, you got that.
Is the plot.
You got that part.
Nobody's going for the plot. Are you kidding me?
Are you saying that the Fast and Furious movies have plots?
Yes, they stole it from Point Break, the first one.
You take that back.
There's probably a good amount of people going, what's Point Break, though?
Oh, now you're making me feel old.
I'm old.
No, seriously, though. Like, you'd be surprised.
You're not wrong. Like, but that's the first Fast and the Furious is literally a Point Break remake.
Oh, no question.
That was better than the Point Break remake, actually. So,
So, but wait a minute. the internet loves Keanu Reeves right now, so how could they not know Point Break?
Touche. He is the in guy right now. So touche. They might be doing some research on
There
it.
you go.
Fair point.
So I think we're safe with that reference. Maybe.
I gotta watch Point Break.
It is a good movie.
All right. All right. So I brought up this next article, and I wasn't really so much interested in what Jill Soloway had said about her approach to the movie that she's making. My question, because we haven't really talked about this much. What do you guys? Do we need a Red Sonja movie?
Only if it's directed by Uwe Boll.
Oh God.
I'm wondering in 2019, how do you get away with doing Red Sonja?
Ironically,
So the first one.
So
I think the original was pretty tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, like I said, Uwe Boll. I mean,
So here's what she said in the interview. I'm super excited. I get to write it as well, which is really a dream come true. I know it feels different when you compare it to Transparent, because that's the television show that she writes. It's on Amazon Prime for those who aren't familiar with that show. But for me, it feels just really very much like it's coming from the same place, because I've always talked about myself as doing work that attempts to heal. Oh, my phone is dying.
Is that what it really says?
That helps to heal the divided feminine in our culture. The idea that women get kind of chopped up into wife or other woman or good girl or bad girl or Charlie's Angels or the woman or the women on Sex and the City, and that's the idea of divided feminism. Feminine means that women get like a small slice to be. So, so the idea is that, and then she goes on to say that she celebrates, she wants to celebrate, the feminine, the powerful woman, and so forth. And I get that, and that works obviously with Red Sonja, but, I don't know. We'll start with our guest here, Scott. Like, are you excited for the idea of a Red Sonja movie?
No, I don't have any reason to be excited about this. This will be one of those that might have a cool trailer, maybe. And, yeah, I won't be giving this any more thought.
I mean, maybe if they bring Grace Jones back for a cameo,
I don't think that'll work.
I don't know.
Yes. It is kind of it's kind of a 90s, heavy metal type vibe to it almost. I don't know. It's not, I don't know. This is just not the time for it. Not with Marvel around.
Yeah, well, that's the.
I'll play the devil's advocate.
All right. Okay.
When they announced George Miller was going to put out another Mad Max movie, I said, who cares? Who really wants this movie? So long, almost 30 years after the fact. We don't need another Mad Max movie. Fury Road was awesome. So it sounds like the director is very excited about the property and sees something that we don't.
Right.
And that's kind of the people I want creating and making movies and writing books and doing those kind of things. People who see something that the rest of us maybe don't see. I'll be honest, the idea of a Red Sonja movie doesn't do much for me. I don't particularly care for the original. I like Conan. I don't really care about Red Sonja. That being said, maybe she'll do a good job. Maybe she'll see something and that will inspire people, because a lot of hate was going around with Guardians of the Galaxy when that got announced. People said, Guardians of the Galaxy, of all the movies that could be made, we're doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and that wound up being great. So if there's a director that has a story that they want to tell, I'll sit back and check out a trailer and reserve my judgment until then. All I want is people creating art that are excited about creating the art.
And I agree with you 100% on that aspect, JD. My fear is, again, it's 2019, and here's the problem. Of course, the original, as you mentioned, tongue-in-cheek, very, very of its time. And
as was Conan, though.
Exactly, and it's a character of she's a barbarian princess that runs around in a chainmail bikini. So in today's world, one of two things happens. They take the character seriously, and they put out a movie that it sounds like, okay, good. It's going to celebrate the strong feminine, and serve to, not have women be divided, as she put it. Fine. I'm all good and great with that. So then what happens is there are people that start criticizing it because, they ruined the character. I don't want to be preached at and all this stuff. Or it's, they didn't go far enough. It was she was still too weak in this aspect, or this was wrong. Like, and unfortunately that's a byproduct of our society, is that because if it's a woman or in a movie like this is the main character, it's going to get criticized even before it comes out.
Well, everything gets criticized. I mean, that's literally what we do on this show. Like,
do we do?
Let it be. Like, yeah, we criticize stuff once in a while. Let people criticize. I mean, that gets people talking about the movie. No piece of art should be absolved from criticism.
No.
Like, if they get to express and create their art and do their thing, I'm fine with it. And if it sucks, we'll say, man, this movie freaking sucks. And if it's awesome, we'll say, hey, you know what? That was really good.
Right, but my issue is that I think things get criticized for the wrong reasons.
Probably, but all things get criticized for the wrong reasons. I mean, we talked about it for Endgame. There was some dork talking about Endgame, how because it had Carol Danvers in it, they were going out of their way to do mental math to prove that it was a failure. Biggest money making movie of all time. But I mean, but there's always going to be people like that. I mean, I don't know why we pay people like that mind. Like, their opinion doesn't matter. They've already made their mind up. Be it didn't go far enough or it went too far.
Yeah.
They're lost. They're not going to see a movie to see a movie.
I know.
Fill an agenda.
Yeah.
I'm convinced I will wait until I see it before I excoriate it in print.
Ooh, good. Wow. Good use of words.
And I think Red Sonja is obscure enough to where she can take some liberties with it as well.
Oh,
give her own take on it, put her own spin on it. And I think that would definitely help. Me personally, though, I would have been much more excited about a Xena Warrior Princess reboot or something.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a great idea. Red Sonja, right? And Black Widow time travel, both redheads.
Oh, they did that in the comics. You ever see that? You ever read that one where Red Sonja and Mary Jane trade brains?
Oh my God!
What?
That's a thing. No, that's a thing. It was done twice. They did it in the 70s and then again in the aughts.
I didn't read it in the aughts, but I remember the one from the 70s.
What's that, John?
That's like saying Thor once fought Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, did Thor once fight Godzilla?
Yes, actually he did.
That's why I asked the question. Yeah, but that actually happened. Like, that's a Marvel team up of the 70s.
Huh.
That's a hell of a team up right there.
The 70s, Marvel 70s, anything could happen. All the licenses they had, like between Godzilla and I think they had a Charlie Chan book they were putting out. Like, Marvel in the 70s was nuts.
The good old days. Oh. All right. And then there's the last news article. I kind of feel like I added just for me. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Hulu has announced that they are going to be making a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy TV series.
They saw what British TV can do for what is it on Amazon? The
Good Omens.
Yeah, Good Omens. If it's done right, the movie was
You're talking about the recent movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Let's just say it's going to be highly the drive to see this will be highly improbable. But
spontaneously turned into a potted plant. Anyway,
Yeah.
hopefully they make it 42 episodes long.
Is anybody getting these jokes besides me and Dave?
I saw the movie in 2005, but I've never read the book. So I mean, like,
oh my god,
I don't know the source material well enough to have a judgment on it.
the book is amazing. The book is just so much better.
Well, books. There's more than one.
Books, yeah. I forgot.
Everyone just knows the first one. That's the problem. But yeah. Yes. That's
what do you? I mean, you guys like the material. You guys clearly are connected to the property. Like, what do you think?
I don't know, it's going to be a fine line. British humor is hard to translate, just like Vogon poetry.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry for leaving you guys in the dust.
Oh,
it's just
I can't think of.
Scott and I are owed this, by the way. So go ahead, continue.
So
oh yeah, for the
what's the name of the two-headed alien?
Oh my god! It's been too long.
Is this similar to like a Doctor Who?
No, this is British. This is British humor.
Yeah, it's if Monty Python tried to write something like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
If the guys from Monty Python.
And you're talking Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Yes, Beeblebrox. So in the movie that came out, what was that, 10 years ago?
Yeah, about that, I guess.
15
years ago. I was shocked how bad the special effects for him was. Like, the second head was so obviously like a fake head sitting on his shoulder for most of the scenes he was in. And it was just like, really? So, I mean, they could do so much better with that kind of stuff today. But then again, of course, it becomes expensive, right?
Yeah.
So, again.
Scott, yeah. So Scott, just for you and like any other viewers, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is extreme sci-fi. Basically, the premise tells you everything you need to know. It's like the Earth is about to be demolished to make way for a new space highway, and one human gets saved from it, and they go on quote unquote wacky adventures.
Right, and to help him survive, the alien who rescues him gives him the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a guide within the story that shows you how to survive in outer space and how to get around. So yeah, I mean, and the book.
There's 101 memes that came out of that. Like, you always know where your towel is. And
don't panic.
Just don't panic. Yeah, if you've ever seen a "Don't Panic" button, or somebody says "Don't panic" and starts chuckling, it's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to catch up.
If anyone, if anyone ever asks you the meaning of life, just say 42. And
yes, you will get standing ovations for saying that.
Okay.
From the Uber nerd crowd, yes.
Yes. Well,
my co-host will probably get it. I'm sure he's read this book. This sounds like something right up his alley.
It is a good read. You know, it's entertaining. It's just like I said, British humor is really hard to translate for the masses. You know, unless you're British, some of it may not seem as funny. I mean, I get it, but you have to be either really geek or really British.
Yeah, I think so. My wife hated me because I made her go to the movies to watch it.
Did you, Scott? Did you see the Good Omens?
No, I've not seen Good. I need that, and The Boys are two things on Hulu I'm looking forward to checking out. How is Good Omens?
Good Omens is awesome, and those are two completely different ends of the spectrum.
Perfect.
But yeah, Good Omens is like grab a beer and sit down and just have a good time. It's a really fun show, and it's so short, but you know, there's nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. Now.
No.
I'd definitely watch that.
So Hulu's trying to really pick their game up with these series coming out to try to keep up with everyone else, I see.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess with Disney Plus and Warner Brothers now, and however many other streaming services.
Disney Plus will be available via Hulu. Actually, they made that announcement this week.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And didn't I hear, was it the HBO, HBO's got 2 tiers now, and their higher tier is going to include Rooster Teeth and a few others as well. And like, I think we finally, we've talked about this. We're getting to the point where consolidation is on the horizon.
Good.
Cable will be obsolete in the next 5 to 10 years.
Don't tell my son about the Rooster Teeth thing.
It's coming.
We
Yeah,
got
it's just-
cable 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to pay for so many streaming services, and now that I don't see. And the problem is that like CBS All Access, you have to get that if you want to see the new Picard, and now Hulu's going to carry Douglas Adams stuff. I'm sure that's probably not the only. I'll bet you that's not the only property that they picked up from Douglas Adams.
They have some. We talked about this. I showed you. They have 4 Marvel properties too that they're going to do. Marvel's like they did a Ghost Rider and a Satana and 2 other shows that are slipping my mind at the moment. They're going to be Hulu exclusive.
So we're still quite there, but yeah, I think you're right, Scott. Like 5 to 10 years.
So, it's funny because, when I worked at TV Guide in 2000 to 2003.
I forgot you'd worked there.
They talked about, the future of TV and there were people talking about like, well, on demand is becoming so popular that eventually it's just gonna like, that's gonna be everything. And the old timers that have been there like, that's never gonna happen. You know, people want to just turn their TV on and have it send them stuff. They don't want it to search and find stuff. That's, you know, it's never gonna change that much.
Yeah. Well.
But I will say this, the people that were talking about it at the time were predicting it happening within 5 to 10 years. And of course, you know, we're now 17 years later and still isn't completely taken over yet because cable's fighting, or traditional TV's fighting hard to stay alive.
Huh?
Yeah.
It can continue.
I don't know.
So yeah, Scott, go see it. Go see Good Omens and probably Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, you could probably,
barring any
you can find that
horrible.
You can probably find the original, I think, on Netflix or Hulu. The British miniseries.
Oh, the miniseries I heard it was okay.
You've never
seen it? No, I'm sorry. I apologize.
I want your geek card.
Oh, you sound disappointed.
He is disappointed in me. He's constantly disappointed in me. No,
I saw the miniseries before I read the book. It was watching the miniseries that made me want to read the books.
See, I was always into books, so I've read books before I go see the actual movies or whatever. But I just haven't had time because, anime, writing a book, that sort of stuff.
Well, I recommend anyone listening to run out and definitely check it out. The original British miniseries was made in the, I want to say, late 70s, early 80s. I believe it's only like 4 parts, four or 6 episodes.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And if you must, you go watch the 2005 movie, but it really wasn't good. And go read the book.
You don't must.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
So watch the series, leave the movie alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing pretty much. Go watch the series, but leave the movie alone.
At the very least, you'll gain something like 100 geek credits. When you're talking to people like us, you'll be able to throw away a one-liner and have us laughing.
Does the original series have like Doctor Who level special effects?
Oh yes. Ooh. The original British series, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like
you're talking like Red Dwarf type stuff, but I'm probably the only one that remembers Red Dwarf. Okay, never mind.
I remember Red Dwarf.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes.
Wow, Dave. We've got more in common than I thought.
Oh my God, we've talked about
That's
Red
disturbing.
Dwarf before. There's the evolved cat, the hologram, the captain, and
Dave.
Dave, yes. Oh my God. Anyway. Yeah, we lost him again, John.
Okay.
I learn something new every day.
Tell your uncle I changed my oil.
Oh, snap, touche. I love it.
Oh my goodness. All right. I think that might be a good place to put a pin in it. Unless you guys had anything else you wanted to add?
I really enjoyed listening to you guys have your Star Trek argument the other day.
Oh, yeah?
By the way, I enjoyed that. I'm not much of a Trekkie, but I enjoyed hearing two real Star Trek fans go at it.
So have you ever watched any of, let's say, like the Next Generation, that time period of the shows at all?
I've watched. I'm gonna say this shows my knowledge of Star Trek. I watched the one with the Reading Rainbow guy the most.
Oh my God!
So the Next Generation. Yes.
Next Generation is the best.
That's my knowledge of it right there.
That is also how I know that show. Continue.
It would have been better if you at least said Professor X, but
okay, touche. That's fair. I could have said that too, but I thought the Rainbow
guy, yeah.
Was obscure. He was blind, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. That's another point. I'm taking that one. Taking that one.
Take a look. It's in a book.
Yes.
Rainbow. All those shows are on Netflix.
Yes, all the Star Trek shows. And Reading Rainbow, I think, is on Netflix.
I like the first, rebooted movie with Chris Pine. I thought that was pretty good.
No, you went too far. You went too far. He's just lost 100 geek cards there.
Stepped in the minefield, Scott.
I just took a step, but I don't think I can move anymore. Huh?
No.
I think I'm stuck here for a while.
No. So, while you're stuck in the minefield, why don't you remind people how they can keep track of you guys and online and find the show?
Oh man, you can find us again on Twitter, Facebook, Knee for Marvel vs. DC. That's the number 4. Email us at kneeformarvelvsdc@godefylife.com. We're on any podcast or any app that you listen to your podcast on. We'll be there. Take a knee for Marvel vs. DC. We release a new episode every Sunday. Our latest episode had JD from this exact podcast on, and usually our shows go about an hour and a half, hour 40 maybe. Our last one went 2.5 hours, so it was a really good conversation. We talked a wide range of stuff, so it's a blast. We really enjoy what we do, so come check us out sometime. And thank you guys again for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, no.
It's a great show. Like, their show's really good. You and your uncle have a really good rapport. Like, you guys, your conversation flows really easily, and it's nice to hear. I think you guys have a different perspective on, especially your uncle. He's got a very different perspective on comics. So I really enjoy listening. Like, it's a good listen. I highly recommend anyone who likes our show to check theirs out.
Yeah, if you want to listen to a show that's like us, but cool.
Cool.
I appreciate
Definitely
that,
check
man.
them
It's
out.
nice.
I think I'm going to end this episode with the sound of an explosion from that minefield.
Perfect.
Touche.
But on that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.